Champ now.
Yes, I didn't say. What are you looking so sad about, Champ?
I'm surprised at you. I mean, I'm really insulted. I mean, that's not right what you just said.
What do you mean? What I just said?
I mean, I'm getting a drink of water. I'm late getting home, but you talk. I said something about the greatest heavyweight champ, man. I'm a hometown man, and you talk about Joe Louis, man. Joe Louis wouldn't be nothing for me. Joe, I tell you, Joe, do you think you would have stood a chance with me?
Well, Clay, one time during my career, I bombed a bomber of my tour.
I would have been a bum compared to you.
Put it on the tour.
What's happening, my people? It's Cash Sports again, back for another afternoon with the family. That's right. You know what time it is. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Box Story, bringing you all that boxing history. Boxing is the greatest sport of them all. That's why we love it. Can't get enough of it. Miss Cass, Drunk Irishman, Bruce Gas, Boxing, Jazz, and more. Terry Akers, Crush the Legend. Salute to everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cash Sports, the Box Storian. Today, epic fights of the 80s. Epic fights of the 80s. Salute everyone. Got my beautiful favorite sister-in-law in here, Terry Akers. That's Miss Cass's sister. Salute, Terry. The Drunk Irishman, Bruce Gas, Crush the Legend. Got some great channels in here. Bruce Gas. I don't know if the Drunk Irishman has a channel, but I appreciate him. Crush the Legend. 6:30 Monday through Friday. Coffee and the donuts. Or whatever you drink in the morning. It might be a cold beer. Mine is hot chocolate. But whatever it is, you'll enjoy it better listening to Crush the Legend. Salute, Crush. Okay, we're going to talk about some fights from the 80s today. Briefly. We're going to talk about the two combatants. We're going to talk about some key moments in the fights and then the winner. Move on to the next one. But first, for the highlights of boxing history, we're down to super flyweight / junior bantamweight. Top 10 fighters at super flyweight division today, 115. Let's go with that because we got a lot to get to. Highlights of boxing history. There's two current super flyweights. Estrada and Bam. Ron Francisco Estrada and Bram Rodriguez. Salute Mike Mazik. And salute to Technique. Good to see you again, Technique and Mike Mazik. Okay, let's talk about the top 10 junior bantamweight / super flyweight, 115. Depends on the sanctioning body, what you call them, but we're going to go with super flyweight, 115-pound division. Okay, when discussing the top 10 super flyweight boxers of all time, a few names always consistently appear at the top of the list. Oh, goodness. Kosai Galaxy is often considered the greatest, followed by Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez, Johnny Tapia, Gilberto Roman, and Jiro Watanabe. Other notable fighters at 115 include Naoya Inoue. These are fighters that didn't compete their whole careers there, but they had great careers at 115. Naoya Inoue, Sung Kil Moon, Jesse Bam Rodriguez, Juan Francisco Estrada, the two on the screen there, and Saristacat Saw Rungvisai. Let's take a look at the top 10 real quick, okay? Number 1, Kosai Galaxy. A Thai boxer with a remarkable 19 consecutive defenses of his super flyweight title. He was known for his powerful left hand and was named Fighter of the Year, even over prime Mike Tyson. Galaxy had 48 fights. He won 47, just one loss in his career, 41 knockouts, for a career 87.2 knockout percentage. Number 2, Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez. Chocolatito is still active, right? A Nicaraguan fighter, rightfully considered one of the best in the division's history. 115, known for his exciting and aggressive fighting style. Number 3, Johnny Tapia, an American boxer with an impressive 14 consecutive world championship victories in the super flyweight division. See, Chocolatito is currently 52 wins, 4 losses, 1 draw, 42 knockouts, 80.7% career knockout ratio. Johnny Tapia is finished his career at 59 wins, 5 losses, 2 draws, 30 knockouts. Number 4 at 115 all time, Gilberto Roman. And Mike Grimm is in the building. What's up, Mike Grimm? Salute. Mike, we're down to flyweight. Mike, yeah, flyweight, 115. Going through all the divisions. And when we finish, we're going back to heavyweight. We're going to do a top 10 active fighters in each division. Salute, Mike. Gilberto Roman, number 4, a Mexican boxer who held multiple super flyweight titles. Roman had 61 fights in his career. He won 54, lost 6, 1 draw, 35 knockouts. I'm kind of rushing because we got 80 epic fights of the 80s. We're going to get them into because they're very brief. Number 5 at super flyweight, Jiro Watanabe, a Japanese boxer who held both the WBC and WBA super flyweight titles. 26 wins, 2 losses, 17 knockouts. I would normally have a bigger write-up, but brief today. Got a lot to get to again. Number 6 at 115 all time, the Monster, Naoya Inoue, a Japanese boxer who has achieved championship status in multiple weight divisions, including super flyweight, and is known for his exceptional power and skill. Currently has 30 fights in his career, 30-0, 27 knockouts, 90% knockout ratio, and the Monster is currently the undisputed champion at 122, super bantamweight, currently. Number 7, Sung Kil Moon, a South Korean super flyweight, South Korean boxer who held the WBA super flyweight title. Had 22 fights in his career. He won 20, lost 2, 15 knockouts. Number 8, let's see, Sung Kil Moon. Let's see what that knockout ratio. That might be something. I think it's probably about 75%. 75, yeah. Okay, not bad. Number 8, Jesse Bam Rodriguez, still currently active, but a standout at 115. I consider him one of the top 10 best ever. Yeah, that's where he's at now, as a matter of fact. He's an American boxer who has quickly risen through the ranks and is known for his exciting performances. Jesse Bam currently has 21 fights, won all 21, one of them 14 knockouts. And I believe he's the ring and WBC champion there currently. Ring and WBC. Number 9, Juan Francisco Estrada, still active. I don't know why, but I think Juan Francisco is still active. A Mexican boxer who has had many exciting battles with other top fighters at 115. 49 fights, 45 wins, 4 losses, 28 knockouts. And finally, number 10, Labrisakat Sorungbasai. He was a Thai boxer known for his knockout power and thrilling fights. He had 66 fights in his career. He won 58, lost 7, 1 knockout. No, 1 draw. The man had more than 1 knockout. 1 draw, 47 knockouts, 81% knockout ratio. The man got 81% knockout ratio. I'm giving him 1 knockout. Come on. Yeah, 47 in 58 fights. For 81%, that ain't bad. How you get up to over 80? You're in good shape. Okay, so now, epic fights of the 80s. Let's take a look at them now, okay? And there's a big one of the 80s right there. Remember this one? They had 2 of them. The Hawk and the Explosive Thin Man. Lexus Arguello and Aaron Pryor. Epic fights of the 80s. Excuse me. Can't get my throat right. One more. Okay. Yeah, we got a lot to get to. Okay. The 1980s was a monumental decade in politics, pop music, and of course, in the sport of boxing. The 80s stand out for the sheer volume of exciting battles, not to mention the high number of super fights, which became huge crossover attractions. The 80s was the era of the legendary 4 Kings, of the Eastern Assassin, Larry Holmes, and the Hawk, Aaron Pryor, of Prime, Iron Mike Tyson, of the indomitable Bobby Chacon, and of such champions as the Explosive Thin Man, Alexis Arguello, the incomparable Salvador Sanchez, Azuma Nelson, Michael Spinks, Jeff Fennick, and the legendary JCC, Julio Cesar Chavez. Now, living up to the standards set in the previous decade, the 1970s, which was a golden decade for heavyweight super fights, was no mean feat. But the ring wars of the 80s held their own in comparison to the glory days of Ali, Frazier, Norton, and Foreman. Today's list of great fights run the gamut from violent slugfests to shocking knockouts to tragic battles. Yeah, we had a couple of them. We're going to talk about them. Tragic battles to exhibitions of great skill and talent. Now, some were super fights. Some were contested in front of just a few thousand fans and barely get mentioned anymore, while some others have continued to grow in stature in the years since they occurred. So now, let's review these epic fights of the 80s. Okay, let's get into it. Epic fights of the 80s. We're going to start at the 80s and go on through. Okay. Appreciate everybody that's in the building so far. Mike Rem, Mike Mazik, Crush, the Legend, Terry Akers, Bruce Gass, the Drunk Irishman, and Miss Cass. Okay, let's roll. 1980s. Oh, shoot. Let me hit this light over here. 5 seconds, getting a little glare. See, I'm rushing. Go down. Okay. Okay. Did anybody else notice on the thumbnail? I was getting ready to start. It said live in 24 hours. I had July 1st for the date for today's show. I was like, live in 24 hours. I had July 2 o'clock, July 1st, but I changed it real quick. But I believe you could have still went live, but yeah. Okay. This is the year 1980. Roberto Duran versus Sugar Ray Leonard. Now, this fight was the first in the Four Kings series. And they also fought the last fight in the Four Kings series in 1989. 7 thrilling fights in between, which we're going to cover some of them. Okay. With just one loss between them in 99 fights, Duran versus Leonard was destined to be one of the decade's most iconic fights. A showdown between modern greats whose legends would only grow in the years that followed this fight. The brawl in Montreal was 15 rounds of ferocious yet highly skilled combat, with the tireless Panamanian putting on the performance of a lifetime and handing Sugar Ray Leonard his maiden defeat. Yep, Duran got a 15-round decision. 15 rounds back then. Sean O'Grady versus Hilmer Kenty. There's Sean. The first world champion from Detroit's legendary Kronk Gym, Hilmer Kenty, was being groomed for stardom by network television, but he had to get past the bubblegum kid, Sean O'Grady, and that proved very difficult. A frenetic battle saw O'Grady score a knockdown and outwork Kenty in the latter rounds to take a unanimous 15-round decision. The bubblegum kid came out on top in that one. Salvador Sanchez versus Danny Little Red Lopez. 1-1. Now, most tuning in to the CBS Sports broadcast were expecting to see Little Red notch yet another dramatic knockout win on national television. Instead, they witnessed a generational talent announce himself as the gifted Shava. Salvador Sanchez masterfully dominated Little Red, stopping him in round 13 of an entertaining, if one-sided fight. Yeah, Sanchez got the better of that one. Stopped him in the 13th round. Mike Weaver versus Big John Tate. Not another boxing channel presented by B3 Picks. What's up, B3? Good to see you again. My brother from Virginia. Salute, B3. Everybody familiar with those. Not another boxing channel presented by B3 Picks. Okay. need to get that commercial so I can advertise for you, B3. I'll get with you. But salute, B3. Yeah, John Tate was in line for the Muhammad Ali payday, right? And at that time in 80, Ali was you still could get a big payday against Ali. All he had to do was get by Mike Weaver. Okay. A major upset and one of the most dramatic knockout wins in boxing history. Also a damn good heavyweight fight. Yeah, Weaver upset Tate and he didn't get the Ali fight, and Weaver went on. Tate was never really a big name in the heavyweight division after that. Yeah. One fight away from the big Ali sweepstakes and lost. The big Mike Weaver. Well, both of them, big John Tate versus big Mike Weaver. Both of those were big. Okay. Yeah, we're looking at some epic fights from the 1980s today. Great decade of boxing. Where I really came in at. Chejeo Nakajima versus Sung Jun Kim. That's Nakajima. I couldn't find a picture together, so I just put the winner up. Nakajima. Now, Japan's Nakajima set a torrid pace to take his Korean rival's world title by unanimous decision in a 15-round firefight. It was a satisfyingly bloody brawl. Both men cut and bleeding, and the excitement didn't let up until the final bell. Yeah, that was a good one there. Japan versus South Korea, with Japan winning. They all good. That 80 epic fights from the 80s. Very brief. Eusebio Pedraza versus Rocky Lockridge won. This was the first fight between those two. It was youth versus experience, not to mention Panama versus the United States on live national television. Now, the young Lockridge impressed everyone with his bravery and hustle, including Pedraza. Pedraza was impressed too, but the veteran Pedraza, who was the champion, came on strong in the final stages to eke out a close points victory. It was a great fight. Lockridge did himself good in that fight, but the veteran got the nod. Close fight though. Matthew Saad Muhammad versus Yaki Lopez, two of those heavyweights. I mean, light heavyweights from the 80s. One of arguably the greatest decade of all for light heavyweights. That's two of them right there, Saad Muhammad and Yaki Lopez. This was their second fight. Arguably the most thrilling fight in light heavyweight boxing history. Saad Muhammad and Lopez wrung every last ounce of energy out of themselves in this rematch. Now, despite suffering a barrage of some 30 unanswered haymakers in a jaw-dropping 8th round, Muhammad regrouped to send Lopez crashing to the floor 4 times in round 14. And Muhammad pulled it out. But round 8, was it? He had like 30 unanswered haymakers dropped on him by Lopez. But Muhammad recovered to get the win. Yeah. He sure did. Okay. Randall Tex Cobb versus Ernie Shavers. 2 heavy hitters. On the undercard of Thomas Hearns versus Pepino Cuevas, Cobb did his best Matthew Saad Muhammad impression, eating tons of brutal shots, somehow surviving and then coming back to win in a grueling big man brawl. Considering Shavers is arguably the hardest puncher in division history, this was no small feat. A great heavyweight slugfest. Cobb pulled it out. Yep. All great fights. Mike Weaver versus Jerry Coetzee. Jerry Coetzee. I used to say Coetzee, but Bruce Cassidy told me. Coetzee. I used to hear people say his name, but to me it was Coetzee. I mean Coetzee, but it's Coetzee. Mike Weaver versus Jerry Coetzee. Between bouts of clinching and mauling, Weaver versus Coetzee delivered plenty of fireworks, with both big men unloading megaton punches with bad intentions. After dominating the early rounds, Coetzee ran out of gas before being iced for blistering counter right hand in round 13. Weaver got him out of there in 13. Defying Arnie 1 in the building. What's up, Defying Arnie 1? How are you today? How was everybody's weekend? Good to see you on the other side of it today. With this week of boxing history off. Tomorrow we got the most underrated fighters in boxing history tomorrow. About like 20, 25 of them. That's tomorrow. But salute Defying Arnie 1. How are you today? Lupe Pintor versus Johnny Owen. I think this one was the first tragedy of the decade. Okay. Now, given his advantages in height and reach, many expected Welshman Owen to try and box the defending bantamweight champion, who clearly had the edge in raw power. But the Merthyr matchstick bravely took the fight to the Mexican, and the result was an exciting two-way battle until Owen began to tire and the stronger Pintor took over. The brave challenger went down for the count in round 12 and had to be carried from the ring on a stretcher. He never regained consciousness and died 6 weeks later. Yeah, we had a couple of tragedies in the 80s. That was the first one there. Yeah, Owen, he went down in round 12 and had to be carried out of there on a stretcher, never regained consciousness. About a month and a half later, he passed away. Yep. From the result of that fight. Everybody thought he was going to go in and try to box Pintor because Pintor was one of the best punches ever in those lower weight classes, man. And Owen went in there and slugged it out with him, and it cost him. Yeah. But he put up a brave performance. Bobby Chacon versus Rafael Bazooka Limon. Bazooka Limon. Bobby Chacon, that's Skywalker Bassio's uncle of the TWT. There's Bobby on the left versus Bazooka. Now, it may now be overshadowed, but this is 3. They had 4, I think. This is 3. It may now be overshadowed by their 4th battle, but Chacon versus Limon 3 was awesome in its own right. One of those hot-blooded Inglewood Forum brawls that lingers long in the memory of those who were in attendance and witnessed it. Now, both warriors were hurt in a torrid 4th round, but after 10 tight rounds, Chacon was given a split decision to avenge his 1975 defeat in their first meeting. And this was the trilogy, but they went past the trilogy. They had another fight. We're going to cover that too. Each fight in that series, like, it got better and better and better. Each one of them, you thought the one before was something, and the next one surpassed it. Okay. Yeah. Leo Randolph versus Ricardo Cardona. Leo was one of those Olympians from that great 76 team. Sugar Ray, the Spinks brothers, Howard Davis. Big John Tate was on it too. Yeah. And Sugar Ray. Mm-hmm. Leo was on that team. Leo Randolph versus Ricardo Cardona. That's Leo right there. An absolute war made only more exciting for the fact it was waged in front of Randolph's home state fans in Seattle, Washington, and on national television. Defending champion Cardona figured to have the edge with his greater experience, but it was a Colombian who found himself in deep water in the late rounds as gold medalist Randolph joined his 1976 Olympic veteran with his own world title win. Yep. Yeah, Leo finally got his title. Yeah, this is Lupe Pintor versus Albert Davila 2. This was Pintor's first fight since the tragedy when Johnny got his name already, when he died in the fight. Johnny Owen died in the fight against Pintor. This was his first fight after that. Versus Albert Davila 2. Now, broadcast live as a supporting act for the tape delay broadcast of Leonard versus Duran 2, Pintor successfully defended his bantamweight title, but not before Davila gave him all he could handle over 15 spirited rounds. Pintura pulled it out, but it was a great fight. Okay, 1981. We go to 1981. Okay. Excuse me for one moment, please. I mean, one instant. Yeah, that's cool. Right there. I dropped the music a little. Okay. Yeah, 1981, the first one is Sugar Ray Leonard versus Ayu Kalule. Where was it? Yeah, that's Sugar Ray and Ayu Kalule right there. Kalule on the mat, of course. Fight fans couldn't wait to see Sugar Ray take on fellow welterweight champion Hitman Hearns. But that's exactly what they had to do, as Leonard opted to challenge Kalule for his 154-pound belt first. The most anticipated and easy debut for boxing's newest and biggest star. But instead, they got an engrossing shootout, as Leonard elected to stand his ground and trade with the experienced African before his big guns decided to fight in round 9. Yeah, Sugar Ray stopped him in the 9th round. And then on to the Hitman after that. But first, Cornelius Boza Edwards versus Rafael Bazooka Limon. Here's Cornelius. Bazooka Limon loses the title belt he had won just 3 months before with a TKO win over Alfonso Beltrami, as Boza Edwards is the more effective fighter in the hellacious 15-round war, one of the all-time greatest Southpaw versus Southpaw showdowns ever. Yes, it was. William Caveman Lee versus John Lo Cicero. There's Caveman. Caveman Lee's ferocious Detroit dust-up with John Lo Cicero saw neither warrior give inch nor quarter, each trading in the pocket for the entire fight. Round 5 saw Lo Cicero rise at 9 from a heavy knockdown by Caveman. Then he badly hurt Lee, and then Lo Cicero got wiped out with a short left hook. Yeah, that was a doozy right, that one there. Yes. Yes, it was. Salvador Sanchez versus Wilfredo Gomez. The Battle of the Little Giants is perhaps the standard bearer for Mexico versus Puerto Rico grudge matches. Knockout machine Gomez planned to blast Sanchez in the orbit, but despite pressing continually, he couldn't match the versatile champion, who picked him off en route to an electrifying 8th round TKO. And to be fair, Gomez was fighting at 122 then. He went up to 126 to challenge. That was his first fight at 126 against Sanchez. Came up short. But he did go back and become a champion at 126, but that was after Sanchez had died in the car accident. Yeah, Gomez went back down to 122 where he was champion at after that fight. And he dared to be great, but came up a little short in that one. Ray Boom Boom Mancini versus the explosive thin man, Alexis Arguello. Jumping in with a 3-weight world champion and modern great is one thing. Doing so at the tender age of 20 with just 20 fights behind you is another. Mancini's improbable bid for glory on national television finally came to an end in round 14 after a remarkable and bloody encounter. Yeah, Boom Boom didn't do bad for, like I said, 20 years old, jumping up in there with a 3-weight world champion, one of the greatest ever, Alexis Arguello. He lasted into the 14th round, but the explosive thin man finally caught up with him and got him out of there. But it was a great fight, 1981. Okay, here's the one now that everybody we was waiting for back then. This is the one we was waiting for. Sugar Ray Leonard versus Thomas the Hitman Hearns. A much-hyped unification match between welterweight supremos Sugar Ray Leonard, Thomas the Hitman Hearns. This was one. Had everything. Momentum shifts, passages of slick boxing, role reversals, power punches, and a dramatic comeback finale. By turning the tide and stopping his adversary in round 14, Sugar Ray, who at times had been outboxed and outfought by Hearns, cemented his greatness. Yeah, that fight right there. Hearns had him beat, but Sugar Ray came on in that 14th. Well, really was 13th when he did the damage. Right at the end, Hearns survived the round at the end, and then 14. He didn't recover between rounds, though. And Sugar Ray came off that duel in 14 like he was shot out of a cannon. And he didn't let Hearns off the hook, got him out of there. Sugar Ray had that fire killer instinct, man. One of the best ever. When you talk about killer instinct, get somebody in trouble. Yeah, he was great at that when he got you in trouble. Normally, most of the time, you didn't survive. Rafael Pedraza versus Gustavo Balaz. That's Pedraza. An under-the-radar war that deserved to be in the running for Fight of the Year for 1981. Pedraza and Balaz battled non-stop at a furious pace for 15 rounds in Panama City. The close decision went to Pedraza, but this was a glorious back and forth Donnybrook and a credit to both proud warriors. All of these fights were great ones. All 80 of them. The Hawk, Aaron Pryor versus Dewan Johnson. The Hawk versus Dewan Johnson here. Pryor's Death or Glory title defense against unbeaten Kronk fighter Dewan Johnson was sensational. It started early though, with Pryor dancing Ali style around the ring, and everybody was shocked because Pryor, instead of rushing over there and just started throwing punches from everywhere, he started out dancing. Yeah, he started out dancing. Then Johnson dropped him with a flush right. Pryor popped up, did the Ali shuffle, and immediately went to war. After arguably losing the first 5 rounds, Hawk proved his class and pounded Johnson into submission in the 7th. Yeah, seemed like Pryor always got dropped in the first round. But he always got up too. He always got up. Cornelius Botha Edwards versus Bobby Chacon, 1. This is the first one. The Schoolboys sought to regain the title who had lost to Alexis Arguello, but Botha Edwards was too good on this night. Chacon had his moments though, rocking Edwards in the 1st and 9th rounds, and generally being a nuisance until fatigue, a bad gash, and his opponent's relentless assaults prompted his corner to call it off after round 13. He went 13 glorious rounds. 1982. Alexis Arguello versus Andy Gannigan. Alexis Arguello versus Andy Gannigan. Explosive thin man again. Jarrell Hattie. What's up, Jarrell? In the building. Looking at some epic fights from the 80s, Jarrell. How are you today? Salute. Where's Consola 1? Okay. Okay, let's move on. Okay, 1982. Alexis Arguello versus Andy Gannigan. Now, challenger Gannigan, aka the Hawaiian Punch, could crack, right? And he proved it when he rocked champion Alexis Arguello and decked him in round 1. But Arguello stormed back to overwhelm his dangerous opponent and stopped him in round 6. Rolando Navarrete versus Chung Il Choi. And there's Kensaw Love 1 coming into the building bearing gifts. Salute Kensaw Love 1. How are you today? Always good to see you. Always good to see that color you always put in there too. Right? Appreciate you, Kensaw Love 1. Appreciate you, Kensaw Love 1. Rolando Navarrete, we looking at some epic fights from the 80s today. Rolando Navarrete versus Chung Il Choi. WBC super featherweight champion Navarrete defended his title against Korea's Chung Il Choi. And the outcome was another thriller in Manila. A ceaseless war with multiple knockdowns before the Filipino finally triumphed in round 11. And both men lay on the canvas in exhaustion. Okay, after they both went down, okay? Yeah. Both ended up on the mat when the fight ended. Okay. Salvador Sanchez versus Azuma Nelson. Here they are. It's fitting that the final stand of Salvador Sanchez generously showcased his skill and bravery. A month before his untimely death, aged 23, the master boxer puncher turned back African wildcard Nelson in a thrilling brawl, surviving multiple heavy raids to stop the boxer, who would later be called the Professor, not to mention Africa's greatest fighter. And the stoppage happened in round 14, and that was Salvador's last fight before that accident, and he passed away. Yep. The great Salvador Sanchez, just 23. Went nowhere near his prime. Thought up to be one of the greatest Mexican fighters ever. Thought up to be one of the greatest featherweights ever. And guess what? In the Boxing Hall of Fame. Career ended at 23. Just think if he would have went up into his prime, into his 30s. It wouldn't be arguable who the greatest Mexican fighter would be. It would be Salvador Sanchez. Wouldn't it be arguable who the greatest flyweight is? It would be Salvador Sanchez. I think he's the only boxer to ever go in the Hall of Fame at age 23. Okay? That's incredible. The incredible Salvador Sanchez. Frank the Animal Fletcher is the animal. Frank the Animal Fletcher versus Clint Jackson. One in a series of electrifying slugfests involving Frank the Animal Fletcher on national television. The irrepressible Fletcher initiated an intense firefight from the opening bell, and Jackson was more than happy to oblige him. Fight fans got 12 thrilling rounds of glorious back and forth slugging before Philadelphia's Fletcher got the decision. We had 15 and 12 back then. Coming up soon on the fight that ended the 15 rounders, though, that changed boxing. Coming up on that one. Aaron Pryor versus Alexis Arguello 1. This was the first fight between those two. 1. A great fight and a great story. Aaron Pryor versus Alexis Arguello must undoubtedly be added to any 80s boxing time capsule. Seeking to be the first boxer to win titles in 4 weight divisions, the Nicaraguan's ringcraft and measured boxing were eventually outmatched by Pryor's energy, strength, and ruthlessness. And they ended up becoming best of friends after their boxing careers. Yep. The Hawk and the explosive thin man. Wilfredo Gomez versus Lupe Pintor. Two of the heaviest punches down in the lower weight classes ever. Those two. Not only did Pintor and Gomez extend the never-ending Mexico versus Puerto Rico turf war, they took it to new heights. A macho showdown between reigning world champions. This epic battle was replete with attritional exchanges, and Pintor combining sharp boxing with outright slugging before Gomez's thunderous power proved the ace card. Yeah, Gomez pulled that one out. Got a great fight. Rafael Bazooka Limon versus Rolando Navarrete. This clash of southpaw power punchers was broadcast on free national television because that's how they rolled in the 80s. Put together a great fight, put it on free TV, make more boxing fans. Anyway, Limon and Navarrete did not disappoint as they put on a rough and tumble affair. Before Limon regained the title, he lost to Cornelius Boza Edwards with a clean knockout in round 12. But down for the count, 10-second knockout. Okay, not a TKO. We got Frank the Animal Fletcher again. Frank the Animal Fletcher versus Tony Braxton. There's Frank. Al Booger. What's up, Al Booger? How are you today? We're 80 epic fights from the 80s today. I think we're in 82. And it's, it's not even 3 o'clock. We are good. Salute, Al Booger. Frank Fletcher versus Tony Braxton. There's no such thing as an easy fight for Frank the Animal Fletcher, said promoter J. Russell Peltz. And truer words were never spoken. Philadelphia's Fletcher outworked and outlasted Braxton to get a unanimous decision in a crowd-pleasing brawl. But easy? It definitely was not. Yeah, it seemed like every fight Frank the Animal was in was a brawl. I don't know how he forced him to, but he made everybody brawl. Larry Holmes versus Jerry Cooney. This was one of the bigger ones of the 80s here. Don King brought all that racist stuff into it. Yeah, Don King. Yep. Now, Larry Holmes versus Jerry Cooney. One of the biggest showdowns in boxing history up to that point. Holmes versus Cooney generated a live gate of $7 million and a total haul of over $40 million. Now, in 2025, you might say, well, that's all, but that was the 80s, okay, 81. So that was big numbers in 81. Live gate of $7 million and a total haul of over $40 million. As for the fight, it was competitive and theatrical. Cooney gallantly surviving a knockdown in the second round and giving Holmes all he could handle before succumbing to a stoppage in the 13th round. Yeah. Gentleman jury. Ray Boom Boom Mancini versus Duke Koo Kim. This is the fight that changed boxing. Changed boxing. Watching this pivotal slugfest again, a match with a profound impact on the sport of boxing, provokes uncomfortable emotions. But Ray Mancini's fatal rumble with South Korean challenger Duke Koo Kim was unforgettable. An incandescent war between lightweights on live national television, it ended tragically in round 14 when Kim collapsed and had to be carried from the ring on a stretcher. He never regained consciousness, and it happened on live television. That was the catalyst to do away with the 15-round fights. That fight right there. It didn't happen immediately. By the end of the 80s, it was down to 12 or 10 or 3 if you're a prospect, but no more 15-rounders after that fight. Yeah. Duke Koo Kim went in there and battled. And Boom Boom got him out in I think it was 14, left on a stretcher and never regained consciousness. Yeah. That fight changed boxing forever. Barbara Chacon versus Rafael Bazooka Limon, 4. Told you they had 4 of them. Okay. The 4th meeting between sluggers Barbara Chacon and Rafael Bazooka Limon was a real-life Rocky fight, right? No surprise, given their shared history. But this one eclipsed all that had come before. Like I told you, they had 4 fights. Each one got better and better and better and better. Thought you had seen it all in the last one. The next one was even better, right? And the 4th one eclipsed all of the previous 3. Didn't stop at a trilogy. Okay. Now, after recovering from knockdowns in the 3rd and 10th rounds, Chacon heavily dropped his rival in the final round to win a close unanimous decision. Some reckon it was the greatest fight of all time. It's up there. Yeah, Bazooka Limon versus Bobby Chacon. Did I tell y'all he was Skywalker Boxeo's nephew? Yeah, I did. Yeah, that was 1982. 1983. Milton McCrory versus Colin Jones 1. It's another Kronk fighter, right? I think Milton McCrory came out of the Kronk gym. Now, Sugar Ray Leonard had retired, and so the WBC had Welshman Jones and Detroit's McCrory battle for their vacant title. The result was a highly competitive contest, with McCrory taking the early rounds, Jones winning the late ones, and the judges tabbing it a draw. So the title was still vacant. The rematch 5 months later saw McCrory score an opening round knockdown, and he got a split decision win. So the title stayed vacant after the first fight, but McCrory finally wound up with it, with a split decision in the rematch, which was 5 months later. They had to have an immediate rematch because they were the ones that WBC had to fight for the title. So, yeah, they had to put them back together again. Lenny LaPaglia versus John Collins. LaPaglia versus Collins. A throwback crosstown rivalry fight between 2 undefeated Chicago prospects. Now, as in days of yore, the ethnic factions turned up in numbers to back their man, with the Irish cheering for Collins and the Italians rooting for LaPaglia. The result was a hair-raising battle in front of a sellout crowd as Collins got the decision. Yeah, the Irishman won that one. 2 undefeated Chicago prospects, Irishman and Italian. Throwback fight. Yep. They was in there, packed in there too for that one. All right. Now you talk about epics of the 80s. Whew, this one. Marvelous Marvin Hagler versus The Hands of Stone, Roberto Duran. This was epic. Few expected the middleweight incarnation of Duran to pose Hagler many problems, even if he looked great in his preceding fights with Davey Moore and Pepino Cuevas, stopped both of them. Then, the Hands of Stones turned in a vintage showing, utilizing his smarts and counterpunching to great effect before the bigger man found his groove and pulled the way down the stretch. Yeah, Duran came out boxing. I know Hagler probably trained for just all-out brawl, and Duran surprised him. Came out boxing, counter-punching on the move, great defense, and Duran built up a big lead before Hagler realized what was going on. But Hagler pulled it out down the stretch. After round 13, Hagler needed 14 and 15 to win the fight, and he got him. He got him. But a great fight. Great fight. Larry Holmes versus Tim Witherspoon. And this is where my display went off. What is Larry and Tim Witherspoon? Larry Holmes versus Tim Witherspoon. Few sporting spectacles are as big as an open-air heavyweight title fight. Larry Holmes eked out a points win over talented challenger Tim Witherspoon, who almost managed to pull off a famous upset. Now, though Holmes was busier, Terrible Tim hurt the champ early and late, and felt aggrieved by the decision. He had terrible temper, thought he won that one. A lot of other people did too, but the judges didn't. And that's what counts in the world of boxing. Aaron Pryor versus Alexis Arguello 2. Yeah, this is where the display went off. They're up there somewhere, but Aaron Pryor versus Alexis Arguello 2. Now, the bit between his teeth, Arguello fought fire with fire in this spectacular rematch, unloading heavy straight rights and body shots in a bid to deter the irrepressible Pryor and avenge his defeat from the year before. And while Alexis staggered the Hawk more than once, the man from Cincinnati's power and pace yielded 3 knockdowns and a career-defining 10th round knockout win. Yeah, the Hawk got him that time. Didn't need the bottle that they claimed they had from the first fight. Came back and beat him clean and more definitively this time. Rocky Lockridge versus Cornelius Bowser Edwards. Okay, there's Rocky Lockridge right there. Versus Cornelius Bowser Edwards. Let me check the chat. How's everybody today? It's Monday, right back at the beginning of a big week of boxing history. Oh yeah, real quick, new series starting Thursday. You find only one kind of put the idea in my head. Boxing in the States in the last week, remember? Wyoming was the last state, so Thursday, boxing around the world. We're gonna go through, not every country, but a lot of them with boxing history. Thursday's gonna be boxing around the world, starting with Afghanistan. Don't miss it, a new series, boxing around the world. Afghanistan starting it out this week. We're gonna go in alphabetical order. Thank you to Fine Arnie One for that brilliant idea. Okay. Rocky Lockridge versus Cornelius Bowser Edwards. Coming off his fight of the year with Bobby Chacon a few months previous, Bowser Edwards started brightly here, bowling Lockridge over with a right hook in the first round. But the smaller your, bigger man roared back and led to most of the telling blows in a close but clear decision victory for Lockridge. Kind of an upset. Yeah. Bowser Edwards was just coming, off a thrilling fight of the year with Bobby Chacon, and Lockridge went in there and beat him. Yep. Frank Cedeno versus Charlie McGree. That's Cedeno right there. There's Frank. In his first title defense, Britain's McGree was expected to give his hometown fans in Wembley Arena plenty to cheer about, but in a violent brawl, he tasted the canvas 3 times before the fight was halted in the 6th round. He lost his title. Cedeno went over there and took it from him. Yep. Yeah. And he got the stoppage because, it's hard to get a decision over there. They love their home cooking. Bobby Chacon versus Cornelius Bowser Edwards 2. Chacon versus Bowser Edwards 2. Bobby Chacon scored a second consecutive fight of the year victory with his rip-roaring revenge win over Cornelius Bowser Edwards in Las Vegas. A 12-round dogfight containing multiple knockdowns, bad cuts, and a stirring final round. It cemented Chacon's status as the ultimate never-say-die warrior. Yes, Bobby Chacon. Look at that. 305. We go to part 2. We're going to get it in because part 1 only took a half hour. It might get some link time. Read it yesterday. It took like 50 minutes. Took all the way till like 10 minutes to 4. Well, 10 minutes before. It would have been 10 minutes before. I was timing it, see. But wow. We getting it in. Let's go. Part 2. Epic fights of the 80s. There we go. 1984. Okay? Almost halfway through the decade. Jose Ramirez versus Edwin Rosario. Yeah, there was a Jose Ramirez back then too. He got the I think it wasn't the Jose that got the robbery over Sweet Pea. But this is Jose Ramirez and Edwin Rosario. Jose on the right, Edwin on the left. A ton of action was packed into this Seesaw San Juan scrap, a rematch of Rosario's close decision the previous May. In his 93rd fight, Mexican warrior Ramirez utilized all his experience and grit to overcome 2 early knockdowns and pull off an improbable 4th round TKO. This was Mexico versus Puerto Rico once again. Mexico won this one as Ramirez stopped Rosario in the 4th round. Okay? Jung-Koo Chang versus Katsuo Takashiki. Jung-Koo Chang's 4th title defense against combated Japanese challenger Katsuo Takashiki is one of the greatest ever light flyweight fights. Teak Tough Takashiki survived a devastating 1st round knockdown and willed himself back into the fight. But the champion was ultimately too strong. His final assault in the 9th was devastating. Chang stopped him in the 9th round. Ray Boom Boom Mancini versus Livingstone Bramble. 1. Yeah, that was a great one. Yeah, this one. This was one of them ones where you couldn't turn away from the TV. You were scared to go to the bathroom once they started. They was battling. Now, it didn't matter how much swarming pressure Mancini put him under. Bramble just wouldn't budge. A close contender for Fight of the Year, this one was irresistible force meets immovable object, with Iron Man Bramble stopping an exhausted Boom Boom after 14 rounds of continuous action. Because see, they had that death, the fight that changed boxing with Boom Boom and Dooku Kim, but they hadn't stopped the 15 rounders yet. But that led to it. By the end of the decade, there was no more 15. And that was because of that fight, Boom Boom and Dooku Kim. But they were still having 15 rounders at this point. Juan Meza versus Jaime Garza. Juan Meza versus Jaime Garza. We're in 1984 now. Juan Meza's roll the dice shootout with Jaime Garza was a super bantamweight classic, boasting a combined 75 knockouts coming into the fight. The pair went straight to work. Garza dropping Meza with a big left hook inside the 1st minute. Then Meza surged back and cleaned the champion's clock with the exact same punch near the bell. It was Ring Magazine's Round of the Year. Okay? Meza got the win. Azuma Nelson versus Wilfredo Gomez. These are some of the greatest fights of the 1980s. Azuma Nelson versus Wilfredo Gomez. Now, who is that? Okay. Yeah, that was supposed to have been back there. Fredo, that's not them. I don't know what happened. We'll get back on track in a moment. Azuma Nelson versus Wilfredo Gomez. Fans knew they were in for a treat when the Professor met Bazooka. Professor, Azuma Nelson, Bazooka, Wilfredo Gomez. With both having only ever lost thrilling wars to Salvador Sanchez, was the only one to beat both either of these men. Macho pride and honor were at stake. The bull-strong Ghanaian was the aggressor throughout, but crafty Gomez picked him off at times and was ahead going into the 11th round, at which point Nelson stormed to a brutal knockout win. If only there'd been a rematch. Yeah, they never fought again, but that was a great fight. That was Zuma Nelson with Fredo Gomez. Let me see if I can find that so I can get back on track. Bear with me for a minute. I don't know what happened. Zuma Nelson and Wilfredo Gomez. Bear with me for a minute, please. We did all them. Okay. I messed up again, but that's okay. Let's move on. Tommy Cordova versus Freddie Roach. Now I know I had this one, man. Tommy Cordova versus Freddie Roach. Yeah, that's Freddie Roach. There they go. No. That's Alexis and Pryor. I knew that one was out of order. There's Freddie Roach and okay, we're back. Freddie Roach and Tommy Cordova right there. That's Freddie Roach on the left. Okay. Tommy Cordova versus Freddie Roach. Yeah, Freddie used to fight. Neither Tommy Cordova or Freddie Roach could ever be mistaken for stylists. But through 12 breathless rounds, the fringe contenders gave a rowdy Las Vegas audience their money's worth. At times, the venturous pair threw hands simultaneously, resulting in a kind of collaborative death march, with Cordova eventually awarded a split decision. But it was a very good fight between those two, both fringe contenders, but they got it in that night. Yes, they did. Two of those great middleweights right here from the decade. Tony Simpson versus Don Lee. That's Lee. I couldn't get them both together. Don Lee. Tony Simpson versus Don Lee. Now, this collision of middleweight contenders lit up Atlantic City Sands Casino Hotel. Lanky Lee sought to contain Simpson from range early on, only to go down from a snap jab. Then he turned southpaw, from which he decked the Brit with a sweet hook, come uppercut in the third round. Now, the remainder of the fight unfolded excitingly, with both guys hurt on multiple occasions. Seconds after scoring a knockdown, Simpson was pole-axed by a straight left in the eighth. Lee stopped him in the eighth round. 1985. This was one of the big ones, the fight of the decade. Not yet, though. 1985. Leroy Murphy versus Chisanda Muddy. Yeah, there they are. A truly legendary brawl. Murphy and Muddy rolled the dice in Monaco and gave all they had. No one could have asked for more, but then came the unbelievable ending. Then came the unbelievable ending. But what happened? Wow. Sorry about that. They didn't say what then came the unbelievable ending, and that's it. I should have looked that up. Let me see. But next is Marvelous Marvin Hagler versus the Hitman Thomas Hearns. Marvelous Marvin Hagler versus the Hitman Thomas Hearns. But I gotta know. The thing said, then came an unbelievable ending, and it ended, man. Damn. Stay with me for a minute. Oh, not you. Leroy Murphy. I'm gonna find out what happened. Stay with me for one moment. We got time. The unbelievable ending. Okay. Leroy Murphy, box wreck. That was against Muddy. Okay. Sorry about that. I should have been okay. Muddy knocked him out in the 12th round. It was scheduled for 15. Muddy knocked Murphy out in the 12th round. Okay. Marvelous Marvin Hagler versus Thomas Hearns. Marvelous Marvin Hagler versus the Hitman, and this was 3 round, the 3-round war. Fight of the year, 3 rounds. Okay. That says it all right there. Memorably described as 8 minutes of mayhem, 1985's Fight of the Year saw 2 of the Fab Four wage war at Caesars in Las Vegas. In a brutal 3-round firefight, Hagler survived a right-hand grenade in the first round to bulldoze his way to a career-defining victory over the gallant hitman Thomas Hearns. Yeah, that's one of the greatest fights of all. Probably, definitely the greatest 3 rounds in boxing history. Livingstone Bramble versus Boom Boom Mancini 2. Bramble versus Mancini 2. Okay. Mancini was the same perpetual motion machine, but as in their first fight, Bramble made his punches count, exploiting openings and inflicting cuts. In short, he had his man's number. Boom Boom's face was a mask of red as early as the 5th, and after a closely fought contest, Bramble claimed a well-earned decision. Yeah, Boom Boom seemed like he cut easy. He got cut a lot in his fights, or bruised up. Kind of like an Oscar Valdez nowadays, Always was badly bruised up or cut after fights. Okay? Always. Win or lose. Bobby Chacon versus Arturo Frias. There's Bobby. This one is against Arturo Frias. Just on the phone. Okay. Past his best, and with a ton of miles on the clock, Bobby Chacon could still entertain a fight crowd. The touch paper was lit early as a brawl ignited, both trading heavy leather and close, and Chacon hitting the floor. The Californian then dug his heels in, weathered Frias' relentless aggression, hurt him in the 3rd, and finished him in the 7th round, a barn burner. Barry McGuigan versus Eusebio Pedraza. McGuigan versus Pedraza. Still in 85. In front of 26,000 full-throated fans, Barry McGuigan achieved his world title ambition by pounding out a hard-fought 15-round decision over the great Eusebio Pedraza. A tactical affair through the first 6 rounds. McGuigan dropped the serene Panamanian in the 7th round and hurt him several more times on the home straight. Yep, over there in Great Britain, in front of 26,000 fans. 1986. We go to 86. Julio Cesar Chavez versus Juan Laporte. It's another Mexico versus Puerto Rico, right? Chavez versus Laporte. Julio Cesar Chavez versus Juan Laporte. The fight fans at Madison Square Garden saw Chavez tested like never before as Laporte gave the Mexican one of his toughest fights, even shaking the on-joint champion on more than one occasion, and taking Chavez the entire 12-round limit. But Chavez pulled out the decision, 12-rounder. Steve Cruz versus Barry McGuigan. Yeah, this was a great fight here. Cruz versus McGuigan. Barry McGuigan fought to keep his title at all costs, but in the sweltering desert heat, the Clone Cyclone lost a soul-bearing encounter with unfancy Texan Steve Cruz. Now both men hit the floor as they pushed each other to the limit, with Cruz's ferocious final round attack, including 2 knockdowns, overturning the champ's points edge. Yep, Cruz won it in the final round. Dropped him twice. Tomorrow, some of the most underrated fighters in boxing history. Okay? Marvin Johnson versus John Marie Amabe. Johnson versus Amabe. In the light heavyweight division. Here's Marvin Johnson. Johnson was a 3-time world champion at 175 pounds. But this proved to be the first occasion he successfully defended, as he stopped Amabe by TKO in round 13 after a hectic and bruising battle. Evander Holyfield versus Dwight Muhammad Qualley. Holyfield versus Qualley. The best cruiserweight fight in division history. So a 23-year-old Holyfield overcome the Camden Buzzsaw to capture his maiden world championship. Holyfield Qualley won was a pulsating 15-rounder, fought exclusively in the pressure cooker, with the challenger having to box and brawl against a stocky opponent who returned every crisp combination with interest. Together, they threw over 2,300 punches. Holyfield eking out a split decision. But you knew that was going to be a brawl because of the way Braxton Qualley fought. And Holyfield, once you got one hit shot in on Holyfield, the game plan out the window. Holyfield ready to brawl then. So against Braxton, the way he fought, you knew that was going to turn into a brawl. Just a matter of time. And here's the fight before. This is the fight before Hagler and Sugar Ray. Marvin Hagler versus John the Beast Mugabe. Sugar Ray was commentating this one, and this one gave him the decision to get in there with Hagler. He thought Hagler had lost something in this fight. This is the one right here. Hagler versus Mugabe. Fresh off the crushing win over Hearns, Hagler squared off with the beast, John Mugabe, and it didn't disappoint. Periods of punishing toe-to-toe warfare interspersed with smooth boxing from Hagler, who for once met someone as mean and strong as he was. After enduring plenty of the Ugandan's firepower, Hagler showed more wrinkles to his game and chopped the challenger down to size in the 11th round. Yep. Hagler got him, but Sugar Ray said Hagler had lost a few steps. That's when they decided to make the fight. Hector Macho Camacho versus Abner Rosario. Puerto Rico versus Puerto Rico. There they are. Part of Hector Camacho's legacy is the skirt, or whatever they call it. He was the first one to come out there with that on. Everybody was wondering what in the hell you got on, Hector. And yeah, that's part of his legacy. But the fight that changed Macho Camacho's career forever. Defending his lightweight title at Madison Square Garden, Camacho found himself taking serious punishment for the first time in his career, as the heavy-handed Rosario landed big shots in rounds 5 and 11 to make it a close fight. Camacho got the decision, but lost something else, his heart. He was never the same after this fight. Okay. Robbie Sims versus Roberto Duran. So Roberto Duran fought both brothers because, Robbie Sims is Marvin Hagler's little brother. Yeah. Here's Roberto against the brother. And guess what? The brother beat Roberto. Let's talk about it. On the same Vegas show as McGregor versus Cruz, the younger Sims and the veteran Duran put on a fascinating middleweight duel, a contest between Roberto's ring smarts and savvy and Robbie's greater strength and activity. Manos de Piedra gave a valiant performance, but a brutal scorecard from one judge had Sims by 5 points. That was ridiculous. and a questionable point deduction to Durant from referee Mills Lane sealed the split decision win for Sims. Roberto lost to both brothers. 1987. We go to 1987 now, okay? Fidel Bassa versus Dave McAuley, 1. Bassa versus McAuley, 1. Define on, he says, Wildcats, I've seen Camacho versus Trinidad, but not Camacho versus... Oh, you didn't see that one, Define on it? 1986. I don't remember what month it was, but yeah, 1986. Yeah. Great fight. Camacho pulled it out, but he took some heavy punishment from Rosario, that fight, Define on one. But I ain't gonna tell you no more. I don't want to tell you what happened. Yeah, but yeah, 1986, that fight was. I don't know the month, but I will let you know. Okay, Fidel Bassa versus Dave McAuley, 1. Twice these flyweights locked up, both times in Belfast, Ireland, and they left no one wanting for more in terms of action. In their first clash, Bassa prevailed by TKO in round 13. Yeah, this was the first one here. Here's the big one. One of the big ones of the 80s. One of the biggest robberies of the 80s, too. Sugar Ray Leonard versus Marvin Hagler. I think. One of the biggest robberies. Yeah, I'm not going to spoil it for you. Fine, anyway. Okay. Marvelous Marvin versus Sugar Ray was more like a what-if fantasy fight, destined to be debated for generations. While the illustrious pair didn't meet in their primes, the clash nonetheless delivered fireworks and a boatload of revenue. As Matador Leonard's flash and flare saw him emerge with a hotly contested split decision win. Still hotly contested to this day, as a matter of fact. Matthew Hilton versus Buster Drayton. Hilton versus Drayton. Okay, we're in 87. We're going to get it in. Hilton versus Drayton. Okay, there's Hilton versus Drayton. Jim Lantley said it best during commentary. You will seldom see a more spectacular demonstration of sheer courage and competitiveness on the part of two boxers. Matthew Hilton's grueling victory over veteran Buster Drayton is how all world titles should be won, with maximum effort expended against redoubtable foes who just keeps coming. Marlon Starling versus Mark Breland, 1. This was the first fight between these two. Starling, Breland, 1. There's Starling. Okay. Marlon Starling's come from behind win over welterweight champ and Olympic gold medalist Mark Breland was memorable for all the right reasons. Two excellent fighters in their prime did battle that night, and despite boxing intelligently for 11 rounds, Breland was unable to stop Starling's brutal final onslaught. Yes, Starling was the winner in that one. Thomas the Hitman Hearns versus Juan Rodon. Juan Rodon had already proven his mettle versus Hagler, and they brought the heat to the Motor City Cobra when they met in 1987. But despite landing some big shots and having Hearns seriously hurt in the opener, the three-swinging brawler was felled multiple times before being taken out in round 4. The win made Hearns the first in boxing history to win 4 divisional world titles. Yeah, Hearns was the first one to win in 4 divisions. Sugar Ray was next. I think it was Oscar. Then Manny. I don't know. Then Manny, then Floyd. I think that's how it went. They were the last 2. Kevin Seabrooks versus Terry Jacob. So come on. Seabrook versus Jacob. Opening with the round of the year, wherein Kelvin Seabrooks immediately put the challenger over with a right hand, only for Jacobs to twice return the favor. All this in the first round. This fight had the familiar ebb and flow of all storied encounters. Seabrooks overcame yet another knockdown in the 6th round, eventually triumphing after Jacobs was stopped on a cut after 9 rounds. Yeah, that had everything. Thomas Hearns versus Dennis Andres. Hearns versus Andres. Here's the hitman, young hitman. In the first fight above 160 pounds for the hitman, Hearns secured his 3rd divisional world title after a wall brawl that saw him floor Andres 6 times before the fight was finally stopped in round 10. It's 87. This was before the last one I said of Hearns. I should have did this one before that one because this was his 3rd. The other one was his 4th. But did them backwards. But it's okay. Sorry. Vinny Pazienza versus Greg Hargan, 1. Yeah, that was his 3rd division. The other one was his 4th. Pazienza versus Hargan. Okay. There you go. Now, Hargan had a title belt, but Pazienza had the funny nickname and a sizable fan following. Both had the gift of gab, and the pre-fight trash talk was definitely above average. Battling on national television in front of a sellout crowd in Providence, Rhode Island, the home state of the Tasmanian Devil. Mutual animosity translated into 15 fast-paced rounds and a decision for Vinny that many thought should have gone the other way. Okay, to Hargan. But Vinny got the win. The judges didn't think so. That's what counts. 1988. There's 2 more years to go. 1988. Okay. Bruce Gass. Okay, Bruce Gass was there. Bruce must be talking about Hargan and Pazienza, right, Bruce? Okay, yeah. That was in Providence, Rhode Island. Yeah, Bruce was at that one. Who did you think won it, Bruce? Pazienza or Hargan? Because Pazienza won it, but a lot of people thought Hargan won it. The judges thought Pazienza. Who did you think won it, Bruce? Bruce was there. We had a looking right at it, you know. Okay, 1988. Nigel Benn versus Anthony Logan. Benn versus Logan. Yeah, me and Bruce lived through all these fights. I mean, we weren't at all of them, but we saw them one way or the other TV. Bruce was at that one. We was around when they were happening. Okay. Nigel Benn versus Anthony Logan. Now, this fight only lasted 2 rounds, but this free-swinging brawl between middleweight prospects was electric. Ben bull rushed this man to start throwing bombs, but the Jamaican soon dropped Ben with a crisp right-hander. In the all-out war that followed, Logan seemed seconds away from a knockout win before Ben flattened him with a thunderous left hook. Ben got the victory. Simon Brown versus Tyrone Trice, 1. First fight between these two. Oh, Bruce said he thought Hargan won. Uh-oh, yeah, Bruce was one of the ones that thought it went the wrong way. Okay, thank you, Bruce. Because they gave it to Vinny. Bruce said he thought Hargan won. A lot of other people thought so too. But the judges thought Vinny, so yeah, went to Vinny. Simon Brown versus Tyrone Trice, 1. Now this scorcher escapes the retrospective attention of all but the staunchest fans. The frantic opening round set the tone. Each guy the mirror of the other as they hurled punches in the pocket. Now Brown was felled in the 2nd round after fielding 12 unanswered blows, but his spearing jab slowly surfaced as Trice's wick burnt out. Trice ran out of gas. A final hook in round 14 had Trice out on his feet. We're in 88, right? Yeah. One more year after this. Iran Barkley versus Michael Olajide. Olajide. Something like that. Olajide. Okay? I'm going to say Michael. And that's Iran Barkley. Now, the stakes were high in this one as both the Blade and the Silk were on the cusp of a title shot at 160 pounds, a fact reflected in the fight itself. which was fast and furious. Both men throwing and catching with Michael down in the second round and Barkley on the deck in round 4. But a prolonged defensive spell on Michael's part inspired referee Arthur Mercante Jr. to step in rather hastily. Many thought and awarded the fight to Barkley. A lot of people thought it was an early stoppage, including me. I didn't think Michael was ready to go in that one, but the referee thought so. Like I say, that's who counts, right? Not me. Tony Lopez versus Rocky Lockridge won. Okay. California was a hotbed of terrific fights in the 80s, and Rocky Lockridge's third title defense against Tony Lopez was one of the best. Though the combatants were very well matched, Lopez's movement gave him a slight edge in a gripping fight. After being floored with a glancing right in the 8th, the Tiger triumphed by decision. All right. Okay. One more in 88. Daniel Zaragoza versus Sang-Hoon Lee. There's Daniel right there, Zaragoza. Okay. Zaragoza ventured to South Korea to defend his super bantamweight title against the local hero. And while the split draw was a bit of home-style cooking, what really matters is that both men left it all in the ring in a non-stop high-intensity fight. Told those guys, man. Zaragoza was the champion, but he went over there, I think, South Korea. He had to fight Lee and ended up being a draw. A lot of people thought Zaragoza won that. I've never seen that one, so I can't call that one. But, you know, he was in Lee's country, so they Lee must have got some home cooking. He probably didn't deserve a draw. This was a good one here, too. Roberto Duran versus Iran Barkley. We're in 1989 now. Almost 2 decades after dethroning Ken Buchanan for the lightweight title, 37-year-old Roberto Duran tamed middleweight champion Iran Barkley in a riveting 12-round fight, punctuating an inside fighting masterclass with a knockdown in round 11. Barkley fought an excellent fight, but the smaller, older, hands of stone simply would not be denied. Almost 2 decades after his first title. Yeah. This is 89. Iron Mike Tyson versus Frank Bruno. All expected another perfunctory Mike Tyson knockout, but instead, Britain's Bruno shook Iron Mike in the first round and then forced him into a fun heavyweight rumble before finally succumbing to Mike in round 5. It was fun while it lasted. Daniel Zaragoza versus Paul Bank. We're winding down now. Zaragoza versus Bank. 1. Another great page from the Inglewood Forum scrapbook. In a battle of southpaws, champion Zaragoza struggled to discourage free-swinging Bank, despite throwing a ton of leather just to keep him honest. Bank heavily dropped Zaragoza in the 9th round, only for the badly bleeding Mexican to sweep the late rounds and earn a split decision. Evander Holyfield versus Michael Dokes. Holyfield versus Dokes. Holyfield had ventured up to heavyweight by then. Yeah, there's him and Dokes. Was Holyfield a pretend heavyweight or the division's heir apparent? This action-packed gut check against ex-champion Michael Dokes suggested the latter, though many reserved judgment. The ring later called it the best heavyweight fight of the decade. Okay? Best heavy fight of the decade. That was a good one. Holyfield pulled it up. Jeff Harding versus Dennis Andres won. This is one of the better fights of the decade right here, too. Yeah. As with many trilogies, Harding versus Andres 1 set a standard its sequels couldn't surpass. Andres commenced his title defense in style, dominating in center ring and meting out punishment. But a bloodied Harding absorbed the pressure as momentum gradually swung his way. The 11th round was a barnstormer, and Hardy's rousing final round assault saw him snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. Victory from the jaws of defeat. Sugar Ray Leonard versus Thomas Hearns 2. Leonard versus Hearns 2. 8 years from their first clash, Leonard and Hearns remain two of the finest fighters in any division, and they delivered the goods in their rematch, each staggering the other, and Hearns scoring 2 knockdowns before the judges contrived to call it a draw. And no boxing fan in that era, after their first fight in 81, thought it was going to take 8 years for that rematch to happen. Nobody thought that, but it took 8 years before they got back in the ring again. 8 years. Nowhere near welterweight where the first fight was at. We wanted the rematch at welterweight where they both were. It was an undisputed fight, their first fight, but it took 8 years. That was crazy. Nobody even thought that would happen. We just knew Leonard and Hearns was going to happen that same year or the next year at least. But it took 8 years, almost to the end of the decade. That was crazy. Good and great. Oh my goodness, what happened? I don't know. I'm almost to the end. I messed the slide display up. Azuma Nelson versus Jim O'Donnell. Is that them? Yeah, that's Azuma. No, I'm good. Azuma Nelson versus Jim O'Donnell. Coming off a huge win over Barry McGuigan, McDonald showed nothing but guts and fitness in his struggle against the more experienced and savvy Azuma Nelson. And he gave fans a terrific fight, but the professor stopped him in the final round. And finally, this is it. Michael Watson versus Nigel Benn. Last one of the, well, it wasn't the last fight of the decade, but the last one I got. Last fight of the decade for today. Michael Watson versus Nigel Benn. Probably the best all-British fight of the 80s, and certainly one of the greatest ever. For 6 rounds, the Dark Destroyer, Nigel Benn, brought hellfire and brimstone to tidy boxer Watson, flailing away as the force tucked up, countered smartly, and bided his time. Then knocked out his tormentor with a stiff jab. Genius. Watson got him out of there. There you have it. 80 epic fights of the 80s. And when I test read this Saturday, it was like 10 of, yeah, I was looking at 7 minutes faster today. I thought doing the show it would take more, saying people coming in and out, but it was faster. Okay, let's get some last 15 minutes of link time in here. Okay, hope everybody enjoyed that. Tomorrow is some of the most underrated fighters of all time. Got a new series coming Thursday, Boxing Around the World. Thursday, going through the countries in alphabetical order. It's going to be Afghanistan, boxing in Afghanistan. I found a good history of boxing in Afghanistan too. Be surprised. Idea. You find Arnie gave me some kind of input to that. Appreciate him. Yeah, this will be Afghanistan. Same thing as boxing in the States. History of boxing in the countries, and then some other significant events that occurred concerning boxing in the countries, like famous venues or famous fights, just some significant things concerning boxing. And of course, some of the top boxers from the country. Just like boxing in the States, it's boxing around the world, okay? Too bad we can't use our map for the boxing in the States, because I love that map. Yep. I didn't never get a copyright or no penalty or nothing for using it. So whoever made it just didn't see it or didn't mind me using it. But we've been using that thing for a long time, since last year, remember? So this boxing around the world, I don't know how long it's going to last. Probably going to 2026. I love theories. But it's going to be on Thursdays again. And then after the boxing in the countries, boxing in the universe. Get some boxers from other planets and stuff. Okay. Then we're going to get 15 minutes of link time. How was everybody's weekend? Kid Austin pulled it out over at Tevin. Oh, yeah. There's a link. Everybody encouraged to hit it. All are welcome to hit the link. We got 15 minutes. I got to get out of here at 4, but there we go. It's quarter up, something like that. 10 up, quarter up, 16, 14 up. Just Do Boxing coming up at 4 p.m. today. And go over there and snoop. Look at Just Do's thumbnail. See what he's bringing us today. You know, like I always do. Let's see. Find that. Yeah, tomorrow we're going to talk about some underrated boxers. Yeah. Wednesday, it might be the best boxer in every state. Thomas Hill gave me that idea. And it's Wednesday, so we're, chose to come out of the chat, so I think so. We can use that map. Best boxer in every state for the thumbnail. Thursday, boxing around the world. History of boxing in Afghanistan. And then Friday, the profile. And it's the first Friday in July, right? Know what that is. We started doing active boxing. And remember, it's going to be Gervonta Tank Davis. The life and career of Gervonta Tank Davis. We started using active boxers last month. First Friday in June was Canelo, remember? And then this month is going to be Gervonta Tank Davis. Because, we always did former boxers, but we're going to do it every first Friday, active boxer profile of the week. Gervonta Tank Davis this week, Friday. Okay. So that's the week. That's the week right there. Tomorrow, list of underrated boxers. We're going to talk about Wednesday, the best boxer from every state in the United States. Thursday, new series, history of boxing in Afghanistan. We're going to go through not every country. We're going to see what kind of boxing history a lot of them got. Alphabetical order. Afghanistan first. Friday, the life and career of Gervonta Tank Davis. That's this week on Cash Sports, the Box Historian. And we are right at the beginning of it. A huge week of boxing history. Yeah. I'm still trying to get a preview on Just Do Boxing today. Come on. That's me. I can say somebody else live. That's me. Well, I'm the only one live, but that's me. Okay. Let's see. No. This is going to be good. I got over 50 views already. And the show ain't even over. This is going to be a good one. 21 likes. Wow. Already. I can't get to the other upcoming shows. Here it is. I know what to do. Just put it in. Put it in. Just Do Boxing. Yeah, we're getting ready to get off anyway. We're winding down. I'm going to see what Just Do doing, and then we're going to go. Get a little preview. This phone ain't cooperating. I can't pull it up. Okay. Well, 4 o'clock. We just go over there and see what's happening. How about that? Okay. But don't forget tomorrow, some of the most underrated. Some of the most underrated fighters in boxing history. Okay. Wednesday, the best boxer from every state in the United States. Thursday, History of boxing in Afghanistan. We're going around the world. Every state, alphabetical order. Friday, the life and career of Devontae Tank Davis. Okay. That's how we're doing it this week on Cast Sports The Box Story. Appreciate everybody coming through today. We got Al Booger, Kensaw Love 1. Yeah, still getting the hats, Al Booger. I ain't gonna talk about it no more till I get them together and get them ready. When I get your address, it's gonna be on the way. I am not gonna mention it again until I get it. Working on it right now. All the members, well, I say my member, I got one member, is gonna get a Cast Sports hat. Okay? Gonna get a hat, a black hat with that on it. Okay? That logo. I got a J Hardcore hat. Okay. Shoot. I was reading the people that came through today. Bear with me for a minute. Since we was talking about the 80s. There you go. Al Booger. Kensaw Love 1. Jarrell Hattie. Oh man, there's Define Arnie. Oh wow, I didn't even see you, Define Arnie. How are you?
Hey, how you doing, Cass? I just pulled up. Literally.
Okay. What you got for me? We got like 10 minutes, 7, something like that.
Oh man, I'm gonna rewatch the show because I heard you talk about Bobby Chacon and Bazooka Limon, bro.
Yeah.
Goodness.
That was a good one. Yeah, that was was that the one? Did he fought him 4 times, right?
Yeah, I was just about to ask
4.
you. I think they fought at least 3 times, but I think they fought 4
Yeah,
times.
4. Each one got better and better and better and better each fight.
Exactly.
You know, sometimes you can't match the first fight, but that one got better and better and better and better. The 4th one topped all of them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, great fight. I'm gonna do that thing first. Start that like you was talking about. Look at boxers from different countries.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm
like-
thinking about opening my own channel, but that's not gonna be anytime soon anyway.
Yeah.
What is the? I wanted to ask you, who's the one that you said that fought Nigel Benn that lasted 2 rounds, but it was like a firefight?
Was it Michael Watson?
No, somebody else.
It was at the end, right? Oh, let me
Yes.
see. I still got it sitting here in front of me. Let me see.
Something Logan something.
Oh yeah. Let me see. I still got it sitting here in front of me. Okay, here we go, right here.
Let's look that up.
It wasn't Watson, because I had Nigel. I had Nigel Benn 2 times right at the end.
And I had no idea that Camacho and Rosario fought each other.
Yeah, it was a great fight too.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
We'll look that up for sure.
I think I went past it. Yeah.
Bruce Gas. If Bruce Gas is here, I heard him say. I think it was Greg Hogan versus Rosario. Is that the one, Bruce?
Pazienza. He was at the Pazienza and
Hogan.
Yeah. And Pazienza got the win, and then a lot of people said they thought Hogan won. So I asked Bruce. Bruce said he thought Hogan won too.
I'm gonna check that out also. But I heard him say in one of the streams he was recommending. I think it was Greg Hogan versus Edwin Rosario. But if Bruce Gas is there, can you confirm that for me or set me straight? Just to make sure. If not, I'll look that up. It's fine.
It wasn't Watson. I can't find who that was.
You said Watson a little bit later than that.
Yeah, that was the last one. Yeah, I had him twice at the end, but I can't find out.
I'll look it up because I know Logan was there. I don't know if it's the first or the last name, but I'll just look it up with Nigel Benn versus Logan or something. I'm sure.
Probably the last name was Logan.
Okay.
But yeah, I can't find it. But I'll definitely let you know. If you don't know by tomorrow, I'll have it for you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'll be able to tune in tomorrow, but Wednesday for sure. For sure Wednesday.
Yeah. When was the? What did you think about the fights this weekend?
Deontay Wilder to me needs to hang it up, especially now
Yeah.
that he had his hand raised. You know, I don't think he's got too much to offer.
Yeah.
If he is going to fight again, it needs to be, in my opinion, either Joe Joyce, Derek Chisora, or Francis Ngannou. That's it.
Yeah.
Who's the other one? I watched the Zurdo fight. I didn't watch the Schofield. Oh my goodness, Schofield and Farmer. Oh,
Yeah, I didn't see none of that card at all.
that was like a minute and a half, if that, bro.
Yeah, I heard about it.
Man, that left a sour taste because I've always loved Tevin Farmer.
Was it Steve Collins you fight on him with Ben?
No.
No, it wasn't
I mean, they probably fought
in the 80s though. Yeah.
Because Steve Collins ducked Joe Calzaghe.
Okay.
He's famous for that. Actually, Eubank, they did like a set round once. There was Steve Collins was there, Eubank Sr. was there, Roy was there, Roy Jones Jr. was there, Joe Calzaghe was there, and a couple of others. And,
I know who it was. Anthony Logan.
Anthony Logan. I appreciate that.
Anthony
And Eubank nailed him to the wall for it, and Steve Collins got up and walked away. He couldn't handle it, you know.
He got up and walked away.
Yeah, literally. You can look it up. It's a short. You can look it up. Eubank, Steve Collins, Calzaghe, something like that, you know, and you'll see it.
Yeah.
What's
up, Tim Layton? He got up there and they just during the fight just walked away.
No. During that they had like a round table, right?
Oh! I thought you said during the fight.
No. There was they had I want to say like 6 or 7 people there. There was Eubank Sr., Roy Jones Jr., Steve Collins, Joe Calzaghe, and then a couple of others. And the subject came up because the thing is that Steve Collins ducked Joe Calzaghe, and that's why Eubank Sr. stepped in and fought him. And they got into it, bro. Like,
yes, first I heard that one.
Right.
Yeah.
What other fight? I think that's it, right? I don't believe there was any other fights this weekend.
No. Was it one? No, I was watching some old fights Friday. Yeah.
Zurdo was a little underwhelming, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I didn't even see it. Yeah, I was out. But he pulled. What did he get? He got a decision, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I didn't have like a specific. I wanted to know, and I appreciate that you confirmed.
Yeah, Anthony Logan, that's who it was.
Logan and a couple of other things.
Yeah.
What you doing tomorrow? Underrated fighters, man, that's gonna be interesting.
Who's that?
You said tomorrow you're doing the underrated fighters.
Well, underrated, yeah, underrated. The most underrated of all time. And what's something I was going to ask you? I can't remember what it was now. What's happening this weekend coming up? This is the second, right? I had to look it up.
Yes. This one, I believe we have Jack Catterall versus one of the Eubanks. I think Harlem Eubank or something. It's on 147. I believe Jack Catterall debuted at 147.
Okay.
I don't know if we have another fight because I'm subscribed to the Zone, so that's what they have there. But 2 weeks from now, it's the Berlanga card.
Yeah,
so
that's the one there.
Oh man,
that's Shakur and
Cepeda and Subriel versus Puello and David Morrell also.
That's a good card.
Man, that's an awesome card. And then a week after that is Usyk Dubois too, bro. I mean, July's gonna be fire.
Yeah, well, that's on the next week. Okay, yeah.
The 12 is the Berlanga, and the 19 is Usyk Dubois 12. I mean 2.
What network is Berlanga? Is that pay-per-view?
Yes. The Zone has a bundle. The Zone has a bundle between the Berlanga card and the Usyk Dubois 2. Both of them for $95.
If you subscribe to the Zone, don't you just automatically get it, or you still got to pay for it?
No. If
You
it's
gotta pay
pay per
for it.
view, yeah, if it's
Because
pay
I'm
per view, you gotta
subscribed
pay
to the
for it,
zone
man.
too.
Can you imagine like $13 some and you get it for free and everything? Nah.
Yeah, that would be nice. Wishful thinking, you know.
Hey, I don't mind it, bro. I'll take
Yeah.
it. Trust me. Nah, great stuff. I didn't catch most of the show. I'm gonna watch the replay for sure because this is a very good topic, bro.
Yeah, I found these fights like one day last weekend. I said that'll be for a Monday because that'll take a weekend to get everything together for that. And I was like 80 of them, but it was just a little brief. It just like told you who was fighting. It's a little bit of what happened and then who won and went on to the next one. So see, I can get that in.
And some of them I had no idea. I was like, wow, what a pleasant surprise. You know, I mean, I knew about Chacon and Limon and all the rest of them. I knew about Ben Watson, you know, but not Ben Logan.
You said you didn't know about Camacho. Who was it? Rosario?
Yeah, I didn't know about that because I knew Camacho from Tito. I knew about that one. But, oh yeah.
Yeah, him and Tito was good too. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, you got to check him in Rosario. I don't know the month, but I think it was 1987. Was the year?
Okay.
Yeah, 1987.
Definitely be watching
that. Was a good one there. Rosario was a tough customer, man.
Rosario's a tough dude for anybody.
Yeah,
he was. Chavez all the way to you name it.
Everybody. He pissed Chavez off, you know, in the press conference. He told her he's going to send him back in a coffin.
I think he spoke about Chavez's family and stuff.
Yeah, he did. He made him mad, man.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, but yeah.
That can kind of give a fighter more. You don't need to give a more incentive. They already coming in there trying to take your head off, you know.
Yes.
But say stuff like that to him.
And I mean, you don't need. I mean, I don't know, man. Certain topics to me should be off limits, but you know, I'm probably just
families and stuff, you know.
Yeah,
you know. But for the most part, most fighters don't do that, though.
Most likely, yeah. Some of them do, you know, Mayorga and so forth, but you know, you don't need to be talking about somebody's religion or family or nation. You know, like I don't know. That's just me, you know.
Yeah, I agree. Some things should just, you know, just out of a certain level of respect should be given, you know.
Yeah.
It's boxing, so.
Whatever psychological edge you think you can have, I mean, I guess you go for it at the same time.
But look what happened to that Cuban guy, Benny Parrott. He called
goodness.
I forget who was the guy that killed
Emil
him.
Griffith.
He was really gay, right?
Yes, I remember.
And Parrott called him that F word, twice.
Yeah.
And he killed him. And you can see when he was punching on him, he kind of holding the referee from getting through. He had like 20-something unanswered punches, and he had one arm like holding the referee back.
That was nasty.
Was already out, and he was still punching on him.
That was real nasty work because if you watch that closely, he has him pinned down in a way that he cannot fall down. You know.
Yeah, and he was out, man.
He was out on his feet for several seconds.
It don't make it right, but that came from just that name he called him, man. You know.
Plus, he was standing in front of him, so the ref didn't have any real way to get in there. You know that was real nasty work. Man.
And at one point, it looked like it took the referee a struggle to get past Griffith to get in there.
Yeah, you can tell he was punching. You can tell Griffith was punching with some rage, bro.
Yeah, I think it was like 18 straight unanswered punches or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. And not if you're off, it's not by too many. Trust me.
And about 10 of them, he was already out.
Yes.
You know.
And the thing is that he's pinned down in a way that he cannot fall down. You know.
Exactly right. He was up in that corner. He couldn't go down. Yep.
That was nasty work, bro.
Yes, it was. This is Ant McQueen. What's up, Ant? He could not go down. You fine on him.
And McQueen, what's up, brother?
Yeah, he couldn't go. So that was.
Oh yeah, I remember Sweet Pea and Hurtado. Yeah, Hurtado. Hung on the ropes, bro, like badly.
Yeah, that's right. Sweet Pea and Hurtado, very similar. Yep.
Yeah. The ref was shouting. The ref should get in there. The ref.
Yeah, no.
Man, really? Oh, okay. The commentator. Sorry. Okay. Yeah.
Commentator.
And
Yeah.
that's the knockouts that I dislike the most. The ones that way too many shots, like the Tommy Morrison and Ray Mercer.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you seen the Dickie Eklund versus Alan Clark KO. That's one of the most gruesome KOs I've ever seen in my life. Try to watch that one.
No, go ahead. No, I didn't see that one.
Let me put it on the chat. So you know, I don't know if it's Dick or Dickie Eklund. You know, the half brother of Mickey Ward.
Yeah.
Versus Alan Clark. That's another short. There's on the private chat. You see.
You know, Holmes and Marvis Frazier was bad, but Marvis didn't suffer any kind of ill effects from it. But Holmes was calling the referee to tell him to come stop it, and he still wouldn't jump in there right away.
I remember that one as well. Yes.
And
absolutely.
There was another one around the 40s, Ike Williams and Bojack. That referee waited way. Did you see that? He waited way too long.
He was also that one was also like signaling for the referee. I remember that one.
Yeah, he told him keep fighting a couple of times, man. And he finally jumped in there and stopped.
That's nasty work.
Yeah, it was crazy. Anytime the fighter got to tell the referee to come stop it, you know that's crazy.
I mean, and the thing is that if you're already out, that's when it gets real dangerous. When you plus the opponent is sitting 100% on the punches because they know that you're out. There's nothing coming back.
Right.
There's nothing to worry about. So I'm just gonna unload with all the horsepower behind it, you know.
And like you said about Parrott, he couldn't go down. He was pinned on the ropes in a position where he couldn't go down.
Man,
you know?
I remember my father talking to me about that knockout, and when I saw it, I was like, "Jeez,
yeah,
Christ, bro."
That was crazy. That was crazy, and he died. You know.
Yeah, he went into a coma, and you see the way he went down.
Yeah,
so gingerly, like. Do you remember the Lupe Pintor and Johnny Owen? That was also a death in the ring.
I talked about that one today. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The Lupe Pintor hit him, and Johnny Owen went down in such a weird way that you knew something was going on. You know,
never woke up from that.
But it was like he crumbled. You know, like he just because we used to see fighters go down in a couple different ways. Like 90% of the fighters that go down 2 or 3 different ways. No, not too many of them. But he went down in a way that I was like, wow, man, there's something, you know, like the first time that I saw it, I was like really like what's the word I'm looking for? Like disgust, not disgusted, but something like that, you know, because you can tell, like the way he went down was just, man, it was just
something wasn't right. Yeah.
I don't know.
You're talking about the Pintor one, right?
Yeah, Lupe Pintor versus Johnny Owen. Yeah,
and Pintor was heavy-handed, man. He one of the best punchers ever down there in those weight classes. Lupe Pintor.
No doubt. That's one of the legends. Now, one of the they have him right up there in Mexico, as they should. I'm gonna watch some of his fight because I saw an interview of him and
watch him and Gomez, Wilfredo.
Absolutely.
What was you saying?
I appreciate that. I was seeing an interview about him, and he told the story of how it unfolded between him and the family of Johnny Owen, and he said they couldn't be better people. Like they told him, like, listen, and he still to this day like cries whenever they bring the subject with him, because it wasn't one of those where he pinned him down or anything. He just hit him. It was a shot, you know.
He just heavy-handed like that.
Yes, exactly. And he said that the Owens family was super cool with him. Like, listen, you know how you signed up for and everything, and that was such a wholesome thing to watch. I mean, I say wholesome in quotes, right? Because obviously, right? But it was, man.
That reminds me, you know, when Max Baer. 2 guys died as a result of fighting, but the first guy, when the guy died in the hospital, Max Baer was there with his wife. That she really understood. You know, she knew what her husband was into. You know, the sport, and He was there in the room with his wife when the guy died. You know, Max Baer was. Yep.
You know, I knew the name, but I'm not gonna remember now.
I can't
Man.
either.
Max Baer, I have mixed feelings. So I'm gonna go ahead and give him the benefit of the doubt and say that I'm gonna watch some tape on him because the image that I have of Max Baer, especially in the Primo Carnera and Braddock fights, is that he was dirty as holy hell. That's the image that I have.
Yeah.
But like I said, you know, I'm gonna go ahead because I've heard some people say that that's unfair, that that's not the case, and because
you're not the first one that said that though about him, that opinion of him. So you know.
Okay.
Yeah, I've heard some historians say it too. Yeah.
Because the thing is that he used to work in, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think I am. He used to work in fairs and circuses, so he knew like. I remember I think it was the Primo Carnera fight, bro. Like he knew how to put his food so he can trample the you know, like stuff like that, like real crafty dirtiness, for lack of a better word, you know, like
right.
But it's been a hot minute since I've seen anything on him, so let me just chill out and see for myself again, you know, and I'll formulate a more educated opinion.
But like I said, people from back around that era he fought in has said that about him too, so you know, you're not the first one. They have said he was dirty too, but you know, I'm not making.
I got that from my father originally. My father was kind of like you, bro. Like he was a boxing encyclopedia, bro. Rest in peace. And I remember he told me that, and he told me that right around the movie, you know, the Russell Crowe movie and everything.
Yeah. You know, I've never seen the movie.
It's pretty good, bro. It is. But he was telling me that, and I'm also going to order the Braddock book, obviously, and I'm gonna get into this. But I'll take a look at it because if I'm not mistaken, he's one of the first ones that you know, just real nasty stuff.
Yeah.
But it's been a while since I watched him, so I'll just chill out, you know.
Yeah, but I said the guy's wife forgave him. They was there together when the guy died, so you know, she didn't. She wasn't one of those people. Well, she didn't call that fight dirty, you know.
Because some of them are unfortunate, you know, like Subriel Matias and Maxim Dadashev was unfortunate, and the Sugar Ray Robinson, and what's the name of the Jimmy Dokes? No, Jimmy Dykes or Doyle, something like that. I think
it was Doyle, wasn't it?
Yes, I think it's Jimmy Doyle, and even Sugar Ray Robinson almost quit the sport after that one. Like,
after that.
Some are purely unfortunate, and the Lupe Pintor one was unfortunate as hell as well, you know, but the Kid Pared, that wasn't unfortunate, bro. That was downright, you know, nasty work.
Yeah, Pintor just punched like that, man, you know. Can't say that enough about him. He had that one punch, one hitter quitter type for a small guy like he was, man.
Oh yeah.
Pound for pound, he's one of the best punchers ever. Most power ever. You know, pound for pound, Pintor. Wow.
He fought in the 80s and 90s, right? Around the time Wilfredo and Chavez.
Yeah, around that time frame. Around in there. Okay. Yeah. I don't know I know it definitely through the 80s. That was where he did his best work in the 80s. Around that time frame. Gomez and all of them. Yeah. You said you wanted to watch a fight. Him and Gomez would be a good one. Wilfredo to watch.
Man, you got me with some homework here, and I appreciate that. I got Camacho Rosario, I got Pintor and Gomez, and I got Nigel Benn and Anthony Logan, at least.
You got just something to do. But okay, what else you got to find on it?
That's about it. You know, I appreciate you as always, bro, and I appreciate everything you do.
Always a pleasure.
Take care, brother.
I'll catch you on the next one. Appreciate you. Okay. Yeah, I told you we're getting in these talks, man. We could go forever. I was going to get out at 10 up, then Define Arnie came in. It's almost a half hour later. But appreciate you, Define Arnie one, up on the panel once again. Okay. Ant McQueen, Tim Layton, Al Booger, Kensaw Love one, Jarrell Hattie, Define Arnie one, B3, Mike Rim, Mike Mazik, Crush the Legend, Terry Akers, Bruce Gass, the Drunk Irishman, and Miss Cass. Appreciate everybody 1,000%. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Boxtorian bringing you all that boxing history. I didn't see a thumbnail for Just Do, so I'm not sure if he's on or not today. But everybody have a great afternoon. Be back tomorrow, 2 p.m. See y'all.